Isaiah 4 through 6. 7 women shall take hold of one man in that day, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own clothing. Just let us be called by your name. Take away our reproach. In that day the branch of Yahweh will be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the land will be the beauty and glory of the survivors of Israel. It will happen that he who is left in Zion and he who remains in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even everyone who is written among the living in Jerusalem. When Adonai has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and purged the blood of Jerusalem, and from the midst, by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning, then Yahweh will create over the whole habitation of Mount Zion and over her assemblies a cloud, and a smoke by day, and the shining of a flaming fire by night, and over all the glory will be a canopy. There will be a sukkah to give shade from the heat of the day, and from refuge, and for shelter from storm and rain. Let me sing for my well-beloved a song of my beloved about his vineyard. My beloved has a vineyard on a very fruitful hill. He dug it up, gathered out its stones, and planted it with the choicest vine. He built a tower in the middle of it, and also cut out a winepress in it. He looked for it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. Now, inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, please judge between me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why, when I looked for it to yield grapes, did it yield wild grapes? Now I tell you, what I will do in my vineyard, I will take away its hedge, and it will be eaten up. I will break down its walls, and it will be trampled down. I will lay it a wasteland. It will be pruned and hoed, but it will grow berries and thorns. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain on it. For the vineyard of Adonai Tzvaot in the house of Israel, and the men of Judah, is pleasant plant, and he looked for justice, but behold, oppression, for righteousness, but behold, a cry of distress. Woe to those who join house to field, who lay field to field until there is no room, and you are made to dwell alone in the middle of the land. In my ears Adonai Tzvaot says, surely many houses will be desolate, even great and beautiful, unoccupied. For 10 acres of vineyard shall yield one bath, and a homer of seed shall yield an ephah. Woe to those who rise up early in the morning, that they may follow strong drink, who stay late into the night until wine inflames them. The harp, lyre, tambourine, and flute with wine are all their feasts, but they do not respect the word of Yahweh, neither have they considered the works of his hands. Therefore, my people go into captivity for a lack of knowledge. Their honorable men are famished, and their multitudes are parched with thirst. Therefore, Sheol has enlarged its desire, and opened its mouth without measure. And their glory, their multitude, their pomp, and he who rejoices among them, descend into it. So man is brought low, and mankind is humbled, and the eyes of the arrogant ones are humbled. But Adonai Tzvaot is exalted in justice, and God, the Holy One, is sanctified in righteousness. Then the lambs will graze as in their pasture, and strangers will eat the ruin of the rich. Woe to those who draw iniquity with cords of falsehood, and wickedness as with cart rope, who say, let him make haste, let him hasten his work, that we may see it. Let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw near and come, that we may know it. Woe to those who call evil good, and good evil, but put darkness for light, and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet, and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes, and prudent in their own sight. Woe to those who are mighty to drink wine, and champion of mixed strong drink, who acquire the guilt for a bribe, who deny justice for the innocent. Therefore, as the tongue of fire devours the stubble, and as the dry grass sinks down in the flame, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their bosom and their blossom shall go up as dust, because they have rejected the Torah of Adonai Tzvaot, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore the angel of Yahweh burns against his people, that he stretched out his hand against them and struck them, and mountains tremble, and their dead bodies are as a refuse in the middle of the streets. For all this, his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out. He will lift up a banner to the nations from afar, and he will whistle for them from the end of the earth. Behold, they will come speedily and swiftly. No one shall weary nor stumble among them. No one shall slumber nor sleep. Neither shall the belt of their waist be united, nor the strap of their sandals be broken, whose arrows are sharp, and all their bows bent. Their horses' hoofs will be like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring will be like a lioness. They will roar like young lions. Yes, they will roar, and seize their prey and carry it off, and there will be no one to deliver. They will roar against them at that day like the roaring of the sea. If one looks to the land, behold, darkness and distress, and the light is darkness in its clouds. In the year of the king Uzziah died, I saw Adonai sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above him stood the seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. One called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is Adonai Tzvaot. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the foundations of the threshold shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. Then I said, Woe is me, for I am lost, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell among the people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King Adonai Tzvaot. Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken from the tongs from off the altar. He touched my mouth with it, and said, Behold, this has touched your lips, and your iniquity is taken away, and your sin forgiven. And I heard the voice of Adonai saying, Whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Then I said, Hineni, send me. And he said, Go and tell this people. You hear indeed, but you do not understand. You see indeed, but you do not perceive. Make the heart of this people fat. Make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, hear with their ears, understand with their heart, turn again and be healed. Then I said, Adonai, how long? He answered, Until cities are waste, without inhabitant, houses without man. The land becomes utterly waste, and Yahweh has removed men far away, and forsakes the places are many, and the forsaken places are many within the land. If there is a tent left in it, that also will in turn be consumed, as a terebinth, and as an oak, whose stump remains when they are cut down, so the holy seed is its stock.